Hello, everybody. My name is Paul Brinkhurst from FutureWorks, and in this video, we're going to look at how to set up your new ESAT account. This video is using the new user interface. So if you're using the old user interface, please go to the appropriate video. First thing you have to do, of course, is log in to ESAT. So we're going to go to esat.futureworks.ca. And you're going to enter your username and password. In this case, we're using the new UX demo site. And here we go. So in the new user interface, you log in to land on the dashboard. And there is another video that's talking about how to use the dashboard. Initially, the first time you log in, there will be no information on the dashboard at all. So the first thing you have to do when you're creating your accounts is to set up the programs that you want to use. So you go to the menu and you click on Manage Programs. A program in the ESAT is a way of grouping learners together. So you can have a program by cohort. You could have a program by geographic location and cohort, by date, any way you like. And you can have as many programs as you want. So if I was going to add a program, I would just click on Add a Program. And I'm going to put in the name Cohort 1 Calgary. Help if I can spell. The next thing you have to do is you have to tell the computer what kind of self-assessment you want to do. There are three options, but really only one is intended for skill development programs. The other two are intended for different types of program involving the engagement of existing employees. But it does describe the differences down here. Okay, so the long standard assessment methodology presents the learner with 6 questions for each skill. Half of them are positive in orientation and half negative. If you just want to have only positive questions, you would select the second option, but that removes the variability in the questions that is a normal part of the ESAT self-assessment. If you select the short option, then you're going to have a self-assessment that is exactly mirroring the staff assessment. The next thing you're going to do is select the skills that you want. So you'll notice that when you select the type of assessment, it comes up with a list of skills. In this case, the list is the same for all 3, but there will be some cases where this is not the case. So I'm going to select long, as I said, and now I've got a bunch of skills that I can choose from. You have to select at least 3 skills for a program. You can have as many as 12. So I'm just going to select the top 4. Okay. And now I have a series of switches that I have to turn on to control what happens in the program. This first one, select if you want staff to see their previous score when they do a staff assessment. So we normally select this as no, because we want staff to base their assessment on what's happened since the previous assessment and not necessarily be affected by what they said the last time. But if you want them to see their previous score, you can select yes. The next button, select if you want learners to be able to enter notes on themselves. Well, again, in most programs, this would be a no. But at certain times, for example, when the learner is out on a work placement, you may want them to be able to communicate with their counselor directly. And so you can set up the ability for them to enter a note once they're logged in. If they enter a note in the system, it is only ever seen by their counselor. Nobody else will see that note because we don't know what they're going to say in that note, and it could be very personal. The next button, select if you want learners to be able to change their passwords. Normally, we don't let them do that, but you have the option. Select if you want to email learners their username and password when their accounts are created. We normally select no here, just because we want to have a conversation with that learner about ESAT and their username and passwords and what ESAT's all about. So it's more personal, but you can automate that. Next, notify program staff if they've not made a note on a learner for a certain number of days. If you leave the 0 in, then no emails will be sent. If you want those reminders to be sent, say, after 5 days without a note, you'd put 5 in. And then last, what we have to do is identify the program staff affiliated with this program. Now, when you first start, there will be no names here other than your own. So you'd select your own, and that's it. That's because there aren't any staff accounts in place other than your own yet. And then last, there's this resync button. That's only ever used when you've had a program in place for a while and there's been all kinds of shifts between staff who've come and gone and learners who've come and gone. At this point, just leave it as no and save. And then you will have that program available for you. And if you made a mistake, just click on the pen and you can change it. So you enter as many programs as you like, and that's the first step for setting up your site. The next step would be to create your staff accounts. So you go to Manage Staff in the menu. This is very straightforward. You need to create a unique username and a password. Try and make the password unique. I'm just using simple ones for the sake of, because I'm going to delete them anyway at the end. There we put in the full name and some kind of a email. The next thing you have to do is identify what kind of account they have. Excuse me. So there's 4 different types of accounts: staff, counselor, site manager, external assessor. Site managers are the people like yourself who are setting up the account and have control over all of these administrative functions. The counselor account is for people who have case management responsibility, i.e. they are assigned to a learner and they're going to control the assessment cycle, and they're going to have the most in-depth conversations with that person about the development of employability and soft skills. The staff, these are the eyes and ears of the program. So these folks work with the client in some capacity. They're going to put observations in the form of a note. They're going to be involved in the assessment, but they're not the case manager. And last, we have the external assessor. This is a type of staff account for, say, an employer outside your organization who's using the tool during a work placement phase. The difference between the external assessor account and the staff account is that the external assessor only ever sees the notes they enter themselves, whereas a staff person and the counselor as well and the site manager, they see all the notes entered by everybody on the system. So in this case, we're going to make this person a counselor. We then identify which programs they're associated with. It can be more than one. In this case, I'm just going to say 1. And then we can assign this person to these programs and to the program learners. Normally, you would do this. However, in certain circumstances, you wouldn't. For example, if this was an external assessor account, you wouldn't want to assign the same external assessor probably to every learner in the program. If it was an employer, they may only be assigned to 1 learner. So then you'd select this option and you'd have to make the link to the learner later. At this point, we don't have any learners either. So we can just say assign it to the programs and we create the account. As soon as that's done, then the person will appear on the list of all of your account holders, right? So you can check and make sure that they're there. You can also do this by batch. So if you click on batch accounts, then there is a staff account template which you can download and complete and then upload to the system, and it will create as many accounts as you need all at the same time. Each page is going to have a help feature up here. So you can click on that in order to learn how to use the batch account system. Once you've got those two steps done, then you can go ahead and start to create learner accounts. Often the learner accounts are not done by the site manager. They could be, but often they're done by the assigned counselors. But whoever does it, the process is the same. If you click on learners, it'll show you the list of existing learners. There won't be any to start with, so you'll go to add a learner. And what we have to do is just complete this template. So we're going to put in a username, password. If the name has already been used, then it'll tell you, and you'll have to come up with a different name. Now we select the program. It now tells you all the staff that are affiliated with this program. This is interesting. I can see the site manager, and here we go. We've got two staff who are affiliated with this program. I want them both, so I'm not going to delete either of them. If there was somebody else who you wanted to add, you could type their name in here and click add, and it would add them. So that looks good. And then we can put in the email if we want. You need the email if you want to use the automatic email functions in ESAT. And we can fill in the rest of this information as much as we need. None of this is mandatory. And we save. And once that's done, there's the new learner. You can also use a batch account system for this. There's the learner account template. It's the same type of process. And again, there will be a help feature up here that will tell you how to do that. Just make sure when you're typing in things like the program name and the counselor's name, username, and so forth, that you spell those correctly. If you don't, the system will alert you to the fact that there's an error, which you'll have to fix. And then at that point, you can resubmit it. So in order to get your account set up and ready to go, you need to do three things: log in and create programs, create staff accounts, and create learner accounts. Once those three steps are done, then you're ready to actually start working with a learner. And that is the end of this particular video.